your behalf, I invite Mr. Rajendran to address. Over to you, Rajendran.
Well, Mr. Group Captain Mohandas, good afternoon. I'm really delighted. I'm honored to be part of the CII here on a very prestigious assignment. I've been assigned the task of making a presentation on cyber crimes, prevention, detection, IT Act, and digital evidence. And as Group Captain Mohandas rightly pointed out, I was in a bank for about 31 years. I have gathered a little bit of knowledge and experience in dealing with different kinds of banking, especially on electronic banking and the crime aspects involved, or the information system security aspects involved in it. As the format has been explained to you very clearly by Group Captain Mohandas, it will be roughly about 40-45 minutes of my presentation. My presentation will cover areas on cyber crimes, how it's defined, the prevention, detection, IT Act, and digital evidence, this kind of scenario. Then after the presentation, possibly a few questions, depending on the time available, I'll be able to take up questions from the participants in the webinar. Then I'll be able to do some justice, gathering a little bit from whatever I have learned over the years. I think I can start the presentation now. Okay. First, this is basically the concept which I am going to take you through in today's presentation. This is not exactly an index of what I am going to do. I have not given an index of what the slides, about 30-35 slides, are going to contain. I am just giving you the concepts. Possibly understanding all these concepts will make you get a clear appreciation of whatever the contents which I am going to present in the PowerPoint presentation. Basically, it is cybercrime, computer frauds, electronic offences, white-collar offences, computer fraud, electronic offences, electronic frauds, crimes, and all that. Though all these technically look almost same, there is a subtle, a little bit of difference between these two, between all these words. White-collar offences are very broad-based definition. Anything which is not a physical crime, somebody comes with a dagger or a sword or shoots somebody, it's a physical crime. You make a physical injury, resulting in a physical loss. Opposite of that is white-collar offences. In the case of white-collar offences, the only weapon or the arm which you use in committing the crime is not a physical arm, it's not a physical weapon. It's something like your knowledge or your the use of, or rather I would say the misuse of the knowledge which you have acquired, the knowledge of computers. Electronic offences, computer fraud, cyber crimes are all quite related that way. Then how cybercrime has been defined in different legislations. In fact, it has not been defined. That is the biggest thing about cybercrime. The word cybercrime per se has not been defined in any Indian legislation. Then how cybercrimes are treated, the investigation issues, jurisdiction issues in the case of a cybercrime, trial and related procedures, and awareness initiatives. Okay. Definition of cyber crime. As I was telling you, the word cyber crime has not been defined in any Indian legislation, or for that matter in most of the international legislations also. Because Indian legislations, especially those concerning the penal acts like Indian Penal Code and other acts, they have defined what is crime, what is an offense. So a very simple definition of cybercrime would be anything which is a punishable act, any offense or any crime, in the commission of which a computer or an electronic gadget is used, is a cybercrime. So since the word crime and offences have been elaborately, extensively, clearly, unambiguously defined, cybercrime just means crime plus cyber, that is crime plus computer. Here the word computer itself is quite interesting. The IT Act defines the computer in a very, very broad and exhaustive manner. I would rather say not an inclusive manner, but an exhaustive manner. Because any electronic gadget with an input device, with a memory, with a storage, with a processing capacity. All these four will make it a computer as per the definition given to it by the Information Technology Act 2000. Taking that definition very clearly, even a high-end microwave oven or a high-end washing machine or most of the mobiles these days may conveniently, comfortably be brought under the definition of cybercrime. That is why simply we say any act or computer is an object or a subject of crime is a cybercrime. Any crime where an IT gadget is used in the act. So cybercrimes are technological variants of normal crimes. Any normal crime, physical crime, in which a technology is involved, that becomes a cybercrime. But the act of committing, the investigation, trial, evidence, everything varies. Basically, it's a human being who commits the crime. Crimes have existed right from the days of Vedas and Upanishads, those days. Even Kautilya's Arthashastra written around 350 BC speaks about different kinds of crimes. It says if somebody commits a crime, what is the punishment? If a ruler commits a crime, if an educated person commits a crime, the punishment should be fourfold. If a person who is in a decision-making level or a ruler commits a crime, the punishment must be eightfold, it is. So that being the case, crime and human being are not, they are not unrelated. They are related, they are inseparable. So long as human beings existed, crimes also have existed and crimes will continue to exist. But the commission of the crime, the modus operandi always differs depending upon the circumstances. These can be called the broader types of cybercrimes in a very, very broad angle. There could be no overlap also. The cybercrimes can be very broadly classified as against persons, like what we normally call a defamation, libel, slander, that is talking ill of somebody in a written form or in an internet medium or in an oral form, maybe defamation, libel or slander. Then cyber stalking. Cyber stalking is cyber harassment, harassing somebody through a computer kind of an electronic gadget. Actually, days are gone when we used to see in old-time movies of Raj Kapoor or somebody in India wherein people, the boys, college boys used to stand in bus stands, bus stops, railway stations and make fun of girls by the act of eve teasing. Those eve teasing days are gone now. Nowadays, boys, they don't need to go to any bus stop or railway station to do an eve teasing. What they need is just a few mobile numbers or the email ID. Keep giving SMS, you can do eve teasing, cyber stalking, cyber harassment, everything. What the law says about it. This is what we are going to see in the later slides to come. Then phishing, all of you know. Phishing is artificially or faking a bank website with a specific intention of getting the information. You fake a bank website with a slight change of a punctuation mark, slight change of an alphabet, look like the original bank's website with the same color, logo, design and all that. You send this to some assorted thousands of millions of users. Even if 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 100 falls prey, he logs into this fake website by having his internet user ID as well as the password. The user ID and the password lands in your system, and you get to know what is his user ID, what is his password. With this, you can very comfortably get his password and other credentials. That is what we do phishing. And banks have taken elaborate efforts to stop phishing. What banks have done is, first thing what every bank has done is, in the recent days, instead of HTTP, it will always be HTTPS, the URL or the address bar. HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transmission Protocol Secure. The letter S is very important there. It means it's a secure website. When you go and click somewhere in the top right or the bottom left of the screen, you'll find a small lock symbol. When you click that lock symbol, it will give a site certification. In addition to the lock symbol, you also do have a tick symbol, a tick mark. When you go, take your mouse near that VeriSign, VERISIGN, that word will come. When you click that VeriSign, it will open up a small box. It will tell you this website is certified by the International Site Certifying Agency, VeriSign. This certificate is valid from this date to this date, given to this particular bank, number, date and all that. This box opens up. This is number 3, number 4. Then there is another 5th identification, the comfort factor to know that this is the original website. What is that? That is the HTTPS and the bank name, the top band, that itself opens up in green. When you give the login, instead of the red, it will come to the green symbol. It is called EVSSL, Extended Validation of Secure Socket Layer. Most of the banks in India have introduced EVSSL there. There is giving a green band in the address bar to give a comfort factor to the logging persons, to tell them that you are entering a secure website only. So you can go ahead, enter your username and other confidential credentials. Then the other thing is ID theft, email spoofing, online gambling. All these are different kinds of cyber crimes committed particularly against persons. Here, one of these things like ID theft and social engineering, I think they deserve special mention. In a country like India, ID theft and social engineering, there is a very special mention. Because in India, we always believe in the principle of Atiti Deva Bhava, like we share our secrets even with strangers very easily. For example, when you travel, say in a Western nation or in a country like Singapore, or for about 3-4 hours you travel, hardly in 3 hours of flight travel or train travel, hardly you speak about few sentences to your neighbor. Whereas in India, when you have a day-long travel, the focus is there. By the time the travel journey comes to an end, you would have known most of your family members, possibly where they are employed, what they are doing, and you also would have told him almost everything about you. This is the basic social engineering, which has been inbuilt into Indian culture, but from security angle, whatever repeatedly the police, investigators, everybody say that do not share your lunch, do not take the cool drink, biscuits from others, do not share your information. Whatever they say, we continue to do it. Because basically we believe in strangers, we believe in Atiti Deva Bhava, we believe in feeding these strangers. So this is one particular area wherein I would rather say every Indian who is security conscious has to be extremely careful. Then online gambling, card frauds, virus and all that. Then against property, it is larceny, simply it means theft, data, information, software piracy, trademark, copyrights, IPR. These are all specifically not targeted against an individual, but against the property owned by the individual. Owned by the individual or the corporate entity or the company of them. Then against the government, basically cyber terrorism. And crime would normally be a combination of one or more of these things. Then software related crimes. I have just simply jotted down some of the software related crimes. Not that I have given an exhaustive list. This is only some representative lists or an inclusive list, I would say. Virus related crimes, Trojan horses. Trojan horses is a kind of software. The software will apparently look like something. When you download it, it will be doing something else. That is, you will be downloading a music or a YouTube music or an audio file or something. The audio file will be playing in your system. When the audio file is being played in the system, inwardly, that the file, the executable program, exe file, will be having another exe file inside. It will be accessing your address book, it will be accessing your directories or your personal confidential information. Wherever the word user comes or the word password comes, those lines it will capture. It will put it in one particular place. When you go to the net the next time when you log in, it will send all this information to the person who has actually put that software in your system. It is a typical case of a Trojan horse, apparently doing something, inwardly doing something else. From a software perspective, it is one of the most dangerous, I would say, software threats. And to detect that threat exists in my system, it needs some expertise, software expertise, or possibly coding expertise, or the malware behavior, malicious behavior of the software. Only that has to arouse some suspicion in you. Then salami techniques is little drops, small drops of various software, then going and getting insulted in one major three. Typically in a bank, this kind of fraud has always existed. For example, about hundreds of people opening bank or closing their bank account in a day, everybody may get some 20 rupees, 30 paise, 23 rupees, 50 paise, 120 rupees. The 2 rupees, 50 paise, 1 to 50 paise, the rounding of difference, is not being credited to the particular account. It will go and be credited to the one particular account. The customer will be thinking blissfully that my interest credit has come to a round figure of 110. Customer is not come and ask you, the actual amount comes to 112 rupees, whereas you credited only 110 rupees. No customer is going to make a demand for the 2 rupees 30 paise. In the day end also will tally. The end of the day program it will tally. Because all these 2 rupees 30 paise, which have actually been debited or credited, the difference goes to one particular software. So one particular account every day gets hundreds of credits of 2 rupees, 1 rupee, 50 paise, 70 paise and all that. So typically in the bank, where in number hundreds of accounts get closed per day, one particular account will be getting hundreds of rupees or possibly thousands of rupees every day. Unless the software is read, unless the source code is read, nobody can detect it. Because no customer is going to make a complaint to you. Only a prudent inspector or an information system auditor will be able to know that why this account should get a credit of every day in small amounts. This has to get the suspicion of a prudent or discerning auditor. So these are all different kinds of software related crimes, trapdoors, logic bombs, time bombs, software piracy, hacking and phishing, and email spoofing. Email spoofing also is another very dangerous thing which is afraid being reported. Many police cases also have been reported. Something like you get an email like hr@microsoft.com or hr@hp.com like that. It says that your CV has been shortlisted, you will be called for an interview, say in the New York or California office sometime in October end. After 1 week, once again mail comes from the same hr@microsoft.com. Your room has been booked in Hotel Centaur Palace, New York 13th class and all that room. So you may have to stay there for 2 days. At the end of the second day, group discussion will be there. Third mail comes after the 4th or 5th day. It says that your ticket has been booked by this flight. Will be dispatching the tickets to you. Before you start, you may have to send an agreement with us. Keep your passport copy and all that. Boys, girls are these days, they keep applying to so many companies. They also forget which company they are applying. So they would have blissfully thought that actually I have applied to Microsoft. Microsoft itself has called me for an interview. Then the 4th mail, it will say, please send me $100 for the courier charges of the agreement which you may have to sign before leaving India. Since $100 is a small amount for them, we also will say only about 5,500 rupees. Okay, then we go to the nearest bank, we credit that $100 equivalent of Indian rupees. Then the amount is received by the person there. Then that is the last mail which you receive. Subsequently, whatever mail you send, there will be no response. You will not know what is happening out there. Then you go and make a complaint to the police. Police will like to Microsoft. Police may not take it up because the actual loss is only 5,000 rupees. For such a small amount, police doesn't take up the case. I am not talking bad about the police, but they got their own pressures. Unless a big gang is busted, this gang has been doing it for about hundreds of people. So hundreds of people at the rate of 5,000 rupees per head may be a big amount for the police. If one individual goes and says, I have been duped of $100 US, about 5,400 rupees, police will not take it. So such cases do not even get reported. So Microsoft will say, this hr@microsoft.com is not from my server. There was no interview process that one. We never called for anybody. There was no interview process was on. Then they will do so. So this is how it happens. So these are different kinds of then this is another kind of thing. Data dealing, all of you know, false data entry, going inside the system and changing data, getting the user ID and password of somebody who is the data owner or the data custodian. Then data manipulation, data spying, scavenging. Data spying, in other words, is shoulder surfing. When somebody types the data, when somebody types information, just keep sitting by his side, keep standing by his side, keep your hand on his shoulder and just look at his password or PIN number in a very casual manner when he's not noticing. That is a very simple thing. And scavenging is another very interesting thing. What scavenging, I mean, in physical, non-technical word it means is, you take out the data from something which has been scavenged. But those days we used to have the carbon copy kind of thing, and people to take 2 or 3 copies. This has been used in many films also. Even Rajinikanth Satyaraj's film, when Amitabh Bachchan film also, it was used about 14-20 years back. What they did is, they used to plant somebody in the opponent or rival's office. The job of that person will be take out the carbon copy every day from the dustbin. When you look at the carbon sheets, you will know what has been typed. You will know the amount of the tender, what he has spotted. This person, the PA, will pass on the information to the rival. The rival, he knows the amount. He will exactly quote about 5 rupees or 10 rupees more or less and then get the order. So scavenging technically is not an offense because you have only discarded the property at dustbin. So scavenging cannot be strictly called a cyber crime. In technological parlance, it's quite interesting because nowadays we get a lot of Xerox machines with memory. When you take multiple copies, what they normally do is they keep one sheet, they take out the sheet and copies keep going. And this one sheet, whatever you have kept, it is on the memory of the Xerox machine in the hard disk. Actually, FBI, in US FBI, one big case, gang was busted about 2.5 years back. One particular gang, they were interested in taking the Canon hard disk of Xerox machines on AMC. After 1 year, they say that no, this hard disk needs to be repaired and replace it. At a very exorbitant price, they used to buy the hard disk of Xerox machines. What they did was, these Xerox machines which are used by senators, senators in the US, I think in equal to the parliament, MPs of India. So senators and advocates and police officials, they use these Xerox. So the company was concentrating only on Xerox machines used by these people only. They take these on buyback, they give new Xerox machine, they then browse through the whatever is, then they start blackmailing. About hundreds of Xerox machines which should have otherwise been dumped were lying in the company's godown. So FBI, it was very big cash for them. So a day will come even in India also the police officials, advocates, that is those organizations who deal with confidential information, they have to be very careful about it. Whenever you give your cell phone for service, we don't care about the guy says that just keep it for about 1 day, I'll check it, I'll give it to you tomorrow. We leave the cell phone at the disposal of the service mechanic. We leave the computer, laptop at the disposal of the computer mechanic. We correct it the next day. During 1 day, what he does, we do not know. And the formatting in a computer does not delete the data. I think most of the technology people, they know it. Unless you format it 6 or 7 times, unless you go to a zero sector and zero sector formatting, or possibly then physically you degauss it, information still lies there. In the case of mobile especially, there are so many softwares like cyber check, cyber shot and all that, which can retrieve the data which has been deleted in the mobile. So scavenging is a very big threat. But unfortunately, so many people who are engaged with dealing with the confidential information, they are not aware of the threat, the seriousness of scavenging. Then data leakage, piggybacking to LGT. Piggybacking is something, somebody swipes a card, before the door closes, second guy also goes. It is a physical component. The logical component is that somebody enters his username and password, leaves the session on and just goes out for a tea or attends a phone call. In the meantime, in a few seconds, the fraudster criminal comes there and puts one data. Typically, this is the case in most of the banks, most of the financial institutions. So the fraudster will be entering the data. It will not go in the username and password. It will go in the username and password of the original person who entered the data. There are so many things in which the difference between technology and crime, the line gets blurred. For example, cyber squatting. This is a technology. A delay of service is technology. It is not exactly correct. But from IT Act, when there is a criminal intent to specifically deny the availability of one particular server, that becomes a crime, like cyber squatting. When somebody knows that somebody is going to start a company a few months from now, a guy called Mohan is going to start a company a few months from now. Suddenly he is going to set up his website or apply for a website, mohanenterprises.org, mohanenterprises.in, mohanenterprises.com, whatever. Knowing this, I myself register in all these names. Registering a website costs about a few thousand rupees. That's about 5,000 to 6,000. I register 3 or 4 .in, .org, .co, everything. Then when the guy establishes his physical office, sets up branches throughout the India, ultimately goes for a website registration, he naturally has to come to me. I will say that the name I can't give it to you. Unless you pay me 1 lakh rupees, I won't give you. Or unless you pay me 10 lakh rupees, I won't give you. For a sum wherein I have spent hardly about 4,000 to 5,000 rupees, I will be getting around 1 to 2 lakh rupees. Strictly speaking, this is not a crime. No technology is involved. That's why in most of the cases, the line between a technology and a crime is getting blurred. Unless you prove the mens rea or how it was taken advantage of, it doesn't become a crime. This is what typically happens in the social networking site. See, in the social networking site, people do not know the seriousness. It is something like going to Facebook and writing something like going to marketplace, writing something on the board and just coming back without even caring to know who is coming to the market and who is going to read it. There have been many cases wherein the sons and daughters of top-ranking police officials Innocently, they said my father is going out on a weekend trip to Dehradun, to Kodaikanal for about 1 week. I won't be available. The son of the assistant commissioner is putting it as an information in Facebook. But this is information harvest. What is the technical term for information harvest? This information which the criminals or the gangsters or the people who want the assistant commissioner to be away from the city for about a week. This is what they have been looking for. So this 1 week is enough for those people. So 1 week, police commissioner is going to be away. 1 week, this ministry is going to be away. So these are all, you have to be very careful when you share information in a social networking website. Information harvest, personating in a cyber cheating, e-forgery, harassment via email, morphing and spoofing email. Steganography is another very interesting thing. Again, it's not a crime, it's only a technology. Steganography is something like hiding a text inside a JPG picture, inside a picture. In fact, it was first it was used in the Parliament attack case in 13 December 2001 when Afzal Guru, he has been, life sentence has been confirmed, he is still there happening there. That's a different matter. But that's why it was very first used. Only Aishwarya Rai's picture was there in the laptop which was seized. People were, the forensic team was actually perplexed, confused. Why should a terrorist use Aishwarya Rai's picture? He could be a fan of Aishwarya Rai, but then when the anti-steganography tool was run, that Aishwarya Rai's picture contained one sentence, mission accomplished, Allahu Akbar. Some such, the modus operandi, that particular line was there. That was the catch, that was the signature line for the terrorist gang. I mean, all this came in the papers, not that I'm telling you. Then defamation we characterize a DOIS, a distributed denial of service, wherein mens rea. Mens rea means criminal intent of mind. Okay. Then writing blog. Writing blog certainly is not a crime. But when you write a blog, when you share your information, then it's not a crime for you. It is a food for the people who want that information. These are all the cybercrime typically in a financial transaction or in a banking related environment. Nowadays, electronic delivery channels is catching up. Nowadays, people do not feel like going to the bank for any transaction unless you specifically have to. These four are the most popular electronic delivery channels: ATMs, cards, electronic banking, and mobile banking. Okay, but all these four delivery channels, they carry with it a lot of security concerns, security problems, and the role of the regulator is paramount. It's quite significant. The regulator, Reserve Bank, has been giving periodic instructions, a lot of instructions, right from the physical making the physical availability of CCTV and ATM, right up to the technical requirement of running a VAPT. There is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, test in periodic intervals for your internet banking kind of thing. A lot of things have been there. Especially this keylogger and password secrecy is quite important. When you do an internet banking session from an untrusted computer, say in a cyber cafe kind of environment, if any keylogger kind of software is there, whatever you type, your username, your password also gets recorded in the particular computer. So when you leave the cyber cafe, whatever you typed, including your username and the password, will be left as simple ASCII characters, in simple English readable characters in the computer. So if the cyber cafe owner or the public computer owner is a bit mischievous enough, he can download this keylogger software and wait for any person to come and operate his internet banking account or his email account there, so that after he leaves, he knows the password. Okay. So we have to be very careful about the keylogger software. So to face the threat, always better to use the virtual keyboard. Virtual keyboard is a picture of a keyboard on the screen. Do not use your keyboard, do not use your keystroke. Take the mouse there to the particular picture of the key available on the screen, then enter your username and password. These are the other security concerns in electronic banking. The CVV or the CVC, card verification value or the card verification code, which is in Visa card and MasterCard, that's very important. I often used to say better smudge it. The moment you receive the card, You take an eraser, take a rubber, or take a permanent marker, smudge it. Because when that number is known to others, the card actually becomes useless. Because it's not a username or a PIN. You write to the bank and ask for, you're resetting the username or resetting the PIN. It's not that kind of thing. It's permanently part of the card. So better do not reveal it. Never give the back-to-back of your a credit card or a debit card to anybody. Never give the back-to-back. No bank, nobody is going to ask for it. Reserve Bank has given very clear instructions. The back-to-back of a Xerox copy of the credit card or a debit card is not to be given. RBI has given very clear instructions about it. Okay. Then session-generated PINs, login password, transaction password. Most of the banks, almost all the banks, I would say, RBI has given very clear instructions that for every ATM debits and credit card debits, the SMS alerts should be given immediately. Alerts has to be enabled. So this is something which is the Reserve Bank's mandatory requirement. So in India, and VPN ban. So we take evidence from digital. The feature of digital evidence is quite unique. I would rather say digital data is quite volatile. If a physical crime takes place, there will be something like a crime scene. Somebody marks it. You come, you take the weapon, you take the arm, put it in a plastic bag, and then show it to the judge. Even after about a month or two, show it as an exhibit. In the case of a digital crime or an electronic offense, if your email has been spoofed or someone is sending a threatening mail to, say, VIP, if police goes, by the time the police or investigators park their vehicle, enter the compound and want to catch the criminal red-handed, that 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes time is sufficient for the criminal to log out, to delete the history, to delete all the cookies, to remove the web, or possibly to even delete completely the browser software also. He can even ensure that no browser software is there in my system. He can either even prove to you that no Mozilla is there, even Google is not there, nothing is there. How can you charge that I was in the net? Unless you go to the service provider and get the evidence from the ISP or NSP, it will be very difficult for you. So digital evidence is very, very volatile. The investigators have to be extremely alert, and you have to make it very, very strong, irrefutable. So cyber forensics. In Western countries, there is a simple concept called a digital library, something like a common repository of digital evidence. So that if two people have a dispute between them, which have to be settled by the court, by the time the case comes to the police, case goes to the court, the evidence in your favor lies in the PC of your opponent. Certainly, your opponent is not going to keep the evidence in his PC until the case comes up. So when you know that the opponent's PC contains the evidence, immediately you go to a common trusted third party, something like a common repository. He takes a copy of the software, copy of the hard disk of both the PCs. He's a trusted third party. He'll be able to tell the court or the investigator, stating that this is the evidence, this was the mail, this was the hard disk taken from both the person at that particular point in time. Whether the admissibility can be decided by the court, but availability has been ensured. But this concept has not come to India. I think people at the government level are discussing it. It may come. In the case of mobile, it's extremely, I would rather say, a bit confusing. Just like we have a hard disk, about 2 or 3, software related to computer OS, we have about 2 or 3 OS. Initially, DOS, Windows, all the variants of Linux, all the variants of Unix, IBM AIX or SCO Unix, or DGUX, DGAVION. In the case of mobile, the operating system is extremely disparate. A lot of operating systems. Android is there, iPhone is there, market, then BlackBerry, everybody has got its own systems. So making all these companies come to a standard platform, and for how many days you are going to keep the evidence. BlackBerry will say that I am going to keep the evidence of SMS, MMS only for a period of 60 days. Some other OS, it says I cannot have the provision of keeping the forensic for more than 3 months. So there must be some proper mechanisms, and discussions are on. So digital evidence, universally digital evidence has to be accepted, basically. This is the basic difference between physical evidence and cyber forensic or physical evidence and digital evidence. This can be produced easily. This is very understandable with some expertise only. This needs expertise in case of cyber evidence. In the case of forensic duplication evidence from a hard disk, at least now it is reasonably clear that NCase is the most accepted tool worldwide. Most of the courts in India also have accepted this as a tool. This is a US tool. And we see that, which is the government's department, Center for the Development of Advanced Computing, Government of India's own company, one organization. They have developed their own device, their own software. This is also quite cheaper compared to NCase. This has also been accepted in many courts. And CII has got a wonderful tool for mobile forensic that also can be used. This is all typically a physical crimes and looks. And in the case of cyber forensic, in electronic crime, there is nothing like a cyber crime seal. There is no seal. For example, if somebody's email is hacked, if I suspect that my email is hacked, if I remain in Chennai today, tomorrow I go to Bombay, and 2 days hence from now I'll be in London or some other foreign country, and the person whom I suspect is the resident of, say, some remote place in India, the crime scene is not either Chennai or London or the California where the Google server is kept, or possibly in Singapore or Hong Kong where Google is reported to be maintaining a backup server. So there is no crime scene in the case of a cyber crime. It is evidence where it lies which drives the scene. So this kind of putting a sticker on the monitor or taking the monitor or producing the keyboard to eject is going to serve no purpose. So in these circumstances only the IT Act was actually framed. In mid-90s, thanks to the globalization in the 1992 to 95 privatization, the e-commerce came on a very big scale. So worldwide there was an impending urgent need to recognize whatever is recorded in a computer. As against the physical evidence, the electronic commerce or the digital evidence, the digital record had to be recognized. It is with this background, the UN General Assembly resolution was on 30th January. Then they said, India, you also have to be party to it if you want to do international commerce, e-commerce. Then India formed a committee. This act was passed in 17th June. Then it came into force on 27th October 2000, IT Act 2000, first version. So the IT Act basically does not attempt to define or describe all cyber crimes. Its main purpose was to recognize electronic record. Many electronic crimes, cyber crimes have been defined and discussed and described. Punishments also have been stipulated. And this is a very popularly accepted statement. This is a computer generated letter, hence does not require signature. I always used to wonder how the banks, or even many reputed institutions use this sentence. The IT Act or no legislation in India for that matter ever tells you that a computer generated letter need not be signed. If ever there could be a blanket permission like a computer generated letter need not be signed, everybody can have his own letterhead, everybody can start sending in the name of any other institution, any other organization, any bank. This is 100% misinterpreted or a misstatement or a misunderstanding of the meaning and purport of the IT Act. What the Act basically said is electronic record kept in a computer is valid in the eye of law, and when a printout from a computer is taken, produced as an evidence, that it has to be submitted along with the certificate as per the Indian Evidence Act or the Banker's Book Evidence Act with a 10 clause from section 2A to 2I. 2A to I think 10 or 11 clauses. These 11 clauses should be accompanied. That clause also should be signed, the printout also should be signed. The Act nowhere says that the printout need not be signed. Absolutely, this is a misinterpretation or a misplaced understanding of the Act. So the Act defines computer data, information, digital signature, computer network, and all these words. The word computer itself has been given a very exhaustive definition. Okay, anything with an input, output, processing, and storage can be called a computer. These four words. Recognition of electronic records is a very major step. This adjudication is a very important process. In the case of any civil dispute between two people, wherein there is no criminality is involved. The Act gives a very clear, simple provision that you can go to the IT adjudicator. The IT secretary in every state has been nominated as the IT adjudicator. For example, I feel that my account has been debited by a bank, say about 5,000 rupees. This is a result of an unauthorized electronic transaction or an unauthorized access to my account for which the bank is at fault. Certainly, as a victim who has lost 5,000 rupees, my intention is not to arrest the branch manager or to file a criminal complaint against the bank general manager or CMD or whoever. I'm not interested in the police aspect of the case. I'm interested only in my getting back the money. So there is a civil angle, there is not a criminal angle to it. In those cases, the IT Act says you need not go to the police, you can go to the IT adjudicator, you prove to him the IT adjudicator has been vested with the powers of a district magistrate. He can call both the parties, the aggrieved party as well as the party who owns the data, who is responsible for the unauthorized access. Normally it will be a bank, sometimes it could be another company also. Possibly it could be a telecom provider, it could be any other company who is responsible for keeping the data. The IT adjudicator has got the powers of district magistrate. He can call both the parties, he can issue summons, he can take the witness evidence, he can pass judgment. The first judgment by an IT adjudicator in his capacity as an IT adjudicator was incidentally given by the Government of Tamil Nadu IT adjudicator, PwC Davida, in a case called Uma Shankar versus ICICI Bank last year. ICICI Bank has gone on appeal subsequently, but there is the first official judgment given. Subsequently, IT adjudicators in Karnataka, Mumbai, I think Delhi also, they were taken it up very seriously. Then this is the civil loss of a data theft. If a data is stolen or data is unauthorized, accessed, downloaded, then it speaks about the penalty. This is a very interesting provision, section 43A. It speaks about three important phases like body corporate, sensitive personal data, and reasonable security practices. What happened originally, there was a slight confusion like if somebody puts a data in a computer, whether the owner of the website is responsible or not. This is almost an offshoot of the Bazi.com case in 2004 in Delhi. What happened when two boys studying in +2 along with one girl who was also a classmate in the same +2 Delhi public school, the case popularly called Bazi.com case. This girl was in a compromising position with the boy. One +2 boy was taking it as a video clipping in his mobile for about 1 to 1.5 minutes. Then this boy did the same act. The other boy took it about 1.5 minutes. It was about 2 to 2.5 minutes of a running MMS clip. Then the Bazi.com is a website popular for its auctioning of interesting material. Not an obscene website. It's a very good genuine website only. One of the employees of the website, what he thought is this 2.5 minutes of clipping is going to be a very big hit for my website. So he gave a scrolling message. He put the whole thing in his website that night. Then that particular 2.5 minutes of web clipping became a very big hit. Then incidentally, the Bazi.com owner Avnish Bajaj, who is an NRI, unfortunately for him, he was in India during those days. Normally, he is a resident of US. He had come to India for some other purpose. He was in Mumbai. The Delhi police went to Mumbai and then arrested him. Then it became a very big furor. It was even spoken about in Parliament. They say, if an employee commits a mistake of uploading an obscene, obnoxious material in a website, how can you fix the company's owner? Company's owner cannot be expected to keep track of the hundreds of employees who are stationed in 20, 30 branches throughout the country. Then there came a scenario when we had to define what is the sensitive personal data, what is the reasonable security practices. Then this amendment came sometime in 2008. Then they said, if any bank or anybody, any intermediary does not have the reasonable security practices, then that owner is responsible. If reasonable security practices in the form of information system security policy, who is supposed to download data, who is supposed to upload data, under what circumstances, who is responsible, if all these things are well defined as forming part of a security practice, if it's not there, you fix the owner. If everything is there, in spite of it, a fraud is committed, then you fix the person who committed the fraud. So that the employer or the owner can say that I got everything in place. I have a physical entry mechanism, a door swiping thing is there, software security policy, everything is there. So this section is absolutely important. Normally this is read with section 69 of due diligence. Then these are all the criminal provisions. Normally tampering with source code, it speaks about computer source code. It speaks about the 3 years or 2 lakh. Then this is about the section 666. It gives the list of offences: dishonesty, receiving stolen computer resources, electronic signature, personation, privacy violation. Almost these are all very popular cyber crime related case laws. Except 1 or 2 on all the cases conviction has come, and some cases they are in appeal stages also. This Pranam Mitra second case, Subhash Shetty case is the first case in India wherein conviction was brought. Egmore Metropolitan Magistrate Court in Egmore in Chennai in 2004. Then Pranam Mitra case is a very interesting case, like in a social networking site. One lady says that I'm a 20-year-old, I just completed my degree. Then one guy who is employed in Dubai, he sends a mail. On Facebook, they had chatted for about a few months. Then this Dubai Indian, he says, I'll be coming to India, I'll try to meet you. This girl says that I want to marry you. They both say that, okay, we'll get married. Then this girl says subsequently that since after completing my degree, I not got a job, my father wants me to get married to somebody. They are looking out for my alliance. She sends a mail once again. You also introduced my other friend, who is the girl Rita Basu. Rita also sends a mail to that guy saying that this girl is going to get married. You have to come to India immediately and propose to her parents. Now after 1 week, one more mail comes. The parents are very serious about her marriage. And in the meantime, she got frightened. She is going to commit suicide. Second mail comes. She has committed suicide. Then this girl sends a mail to Dubai stating that she has committed suicide. She has left a suicide note implicating you, saying that you are the reason for, since you did not come to India, since you went back on your promise, she has committed suicide. Police are looking for you. Police are going to arrest you. Then this girl says that my uncle is a lawyer. He will be able to take up your case. Then the lawyer demands 40,000 rupees. He pays it. Then the lawyer once again sends a CBI a letterhead, a scanned copy of the warrant from Calcutta CBI court and all that. Then this man gets frightened. He sends one more installment. He says, don't worry, don't come to India. After about 2 months, the lawyer demands one more installment. When that guy from Dubai, he gets suspicious. He gets out of some other friend. Ultimately, he lands in India. With another friend, he goes and sees to Calcutta office. He sees that CBI charge sheet itself is a fake document. It's a fake document, faked scan copy. He verifies the newspapers. No such suicide ever took place. No such girl ever existed. No such Rita Basu ever existed in the name of a friend. So the friend, the original girl who reported to have committed suicide, or the advocate, everybody are same gentleman who was an employee of one cement company in Mumbai. He is a system manager. He is around 45 to 50 years, very tech-savvy person. He demanded, totally he made around 95,000 in 2-3 installments. Through the bank account, he was snapped ultimately. So this is how you have to be very careful in the case of the social networking site information. So these are all very interesting cases based on things. Section 67 is another very powerful enactment. Even child pornography was recently brought into this section. Child pornography was recently brought into it. Then the power to monitor. This is section which is often being debated. It's section 69 read with 70. Whether the telephone tapping power is there for the government or not. The section 5 subsection 2 of Indian Telegraph Act 1885. This act which has existed around 145 years. That section act is being spoken about. Now 13 has got the powers, people say. Computer Emergency Response Team has got the power to block, monitor, intercept. But there is a due mechanism of appointing a committee under with the level of a secretary of the Ministry of IT and the 13, then the Home Ministry. Only then they can block the website. Otherwise, monitoring can be done. These are these actions. Says in detail. These are all the other provisions. What is due diligence? This is much being debated. Then these are the acts which have been amended as a result of passing of IT Act 2000 and IT Act 2008. This Indian Penal Code has been amended. Wherever the fraud comes, electronic fraud. Wherever signature comes, electronic signature. All these words were subsequently replaced. These are the relevant sections of IPC which are normally read with Information Technology Act. Then these are all the other legislations which have which have a bearing on the electronic offences, cybercrime scenario in India. These are all the other acts. TROI, which is guidelines, then RBI as a regulator, insurance regulatory authority. Then ultimately it revolves around these three people. We want to have a very safe and secure banking, secure internet. There are three main players. The users, they have to be careful about their username, password, never divulge anything to others. Then the ISPs, the NSPs, network service providers, banks, intermediaries, they play their roles very carefully. Then the regulators and the investigators, namely the Parliament or the Reserve Bank of India, of course the police. Thank you. It has been a good experience for me to share my experience and my knowledge with you.